All right, we're back with the Bigfoot Society podcast, and I have Yami with me, Cryptid Chat Yami, and thanks for coming on again.
No problem. I was excited to be back.
Yeah, always good to hear from you, and you've got a lot of cool things going on in Florida, and let's say if anyone listening to this has not heard of you yet. And if you haven't, you need to listen to the other episode that we have. If you go a few back, we have another episode that's really good. But how would you, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I run a podcast and then Instagram page under Cryptid Chat Yami. So basically, I just post and research anything from cryptids to legends, UFOs, the supernatural, anything unknown, weird, creepy. That's like my thing. So I'll just research on it, create different podcast content. I'll post on my Instagram channel as well. And then we just recently started doing like Instagram lives to really like interact with people and followers and to just have fun. Honestly, those are just fun things to do for us.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, definitely. She's had a lot of really good episodes. I think I still think my favorite is when you're talking about Puerto Rico because there's a lot of really crazy stuff that I had never thought of Puerto Rico before. Like you talked a little bit about dinosaurs in the rainforest jungle, and then it kind of goes into like there's military installations and like I mean that could have been I could have listened to way more about that. So that was pretty solid. It encouraged me to research more about possibility of dinosaurs in Puerto Rico. I hadn't thought of that. So very cool. Very cool. Good job there. We do have, so on my Instagram, I usually put up, this person is being interviewed. What are some questions you have? We have a busy week. We got Yami tonight. We've got Moth Boy Matt tomorrow. If you haven't checked out the Moth Boys, they are hilarious. We've got National Introvert Society. I'm going to chat with him a bit. He's a very cool cryptid shirt designer.
Yes, I've seen some of his stuff real good.
Do you know do you follow Melcabra 2 in a Cryptid World on Instagram? So it's a mother-daughter duo, and they're coming out with a Bigfoot book in the fall through, I think it's Indiana University Press, but they make a lot of really cool content, so I have them coming on. Though that's later in the month. Anyways, so we got all that to say that we have questions for Yami from some people. So let's start out with Instagram user @outcast@last. Great name. If you don't know who Outcast is, go check it out. Okay, first question, Yami, is what are your 3 favorite creature movies?
I saw this one, so I'm not gonna lie, I have these little notes here and I kind of prepared in advance.
Good. That's great.
I tried to think about this one really hard because part of me was like documentary or like just Hollywood creature movie.
I know, right? Yeah.
So Hollywood creature movie wise, I would have to say, like, in no particular order, because I'm really bad at putting things in order. It would have to be Godzilla, because Godzilla is the original monster creature to me. I think that we all identify it with. And then I don't know if, I guess it kind of counts, Super 8. Steven Spielberg movie. Oh
man, I feel terrible. I haven't seen that one yet. It's actually really good though, right?
It's really good. It's I guess it's kind of a creature film in a way.
No, I've seen it. It came out a few years back, right?
Yes, it did. Yeah. It's been a while.
It's pre Stranger Things, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Trying to think of else. I guess you could say not that recently, but like recently again rewatched The Babadook. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
That isn't that like a weird like a kids movie
It,
ish legend from
it
Russia or something?
it's I think Australian,
Okay, I'm
and
losing all credibility right now.
no, you're good.
This is
Uh,
good. This is good though.
but it's kind of like, I guess you could say it's a psychological horror movie,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and
Yep.
there is a creature spirit thing. I'm not quite sure, but it like really messed me up,
Wow.
but in a really good way. So I just like include it in my list. And then
Okay.
this is obviously the fourth. We're on four now, but I'm gonna give a shout out to my sister's favorite creature film, and that's The Shape of Water. She
Oh,
just really
yeah. Yeah. Nice.
she really likes that movie, The Lizard Man, amphibian lizard guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a very
Um,
weird, dark fairy tale kind of a movie.
it's M. Night Shyamalan, is that right?
I'm
I want
trying
to
to think.
say.
Guillermo del Toro, I think.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. There's so many people yelling at me right now. You dummy. Get out of here. All right. So those are actually really good. That's a lot for me to check out. So
Those
I
are
am
the good Hollywood films, at least.
those
Documentaries,
are.
that there's
Yeah.
a whole other list of
Oh
that.
yeah. I mean, you could go on forever about documentaries, to
Oh
be
yeah.
honest. Um yeah. It's like I've seen a lot of the 80s movies, but I have a lot of catching up to go.
I
So
haven't
I
seen
know
a lot
like
of the 80s movies, so I need to catch back up to
okay.
that.
Yeah, so like I'm set with like old Star Wars and Indiana Jones, but
Ah,
you know. Um let's head on to the next question. So, what are your I think I can guess some of these, but what are your three favorite Florida legends? And I mean, this has got to be a tough one because there's so much weird stuff going on in Florida.
there, besides just like the usual weird headlines that come with Florida, there are a lot
Mhm.
of really strange stories and legends tied to just Florida in general. But if I had to like choose top three, of course, Skunk Ape has to be up there
I
because
know.
he is our like solid cryptid here in Florida.
Yeah.
And it feels like every time he dies down, it pops back up again. So
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I actually have a friend who had an experience with what he thinks was like a skunk ape. Yeah. And
No.
yes, it was the
You think you would
wildest.
really know because he smells terrible, right? Like it's a yes or no thing.
Yeah, no, he actually think
Yeah.
he did an interview on another podcast and he shared his
Hmm.
full story. But
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
skunk ape is still alive and well in Florida.
Nice, nice.
Um,
All
Let
right.
me think. Any legend associated with Disney, I love it.
Oh, yeah, those are fun.
There's
Those are
some
really
really
fun.
weird. Like there's a
Oh,
lot of
man.
weird like supposed like haunted locations at Disney,
Mhm.
and then there's like the really weird Disney rumors, like the legend that Walt Disney's head is cryogenically
Is
frozen and preserved.
Futurama? Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Only in Florida could we come up with something like that.
Oh
I
my
just gotta say.
goodness.
But I'm not sure. Have you heard about the I-4 dead zone?
No. That
Ah,
sounds cool. Yeah, go ahead. This sounds good.
I had only recently heard about this. This legend specifically tied to an area on the in I-4, it's the highway that we have. It's like
Okay, thanks.
between
Yeah.
Orlando and a place called Deltona. It's
Okay.
in the Sanford area, to give you an idea, like a city wise. And it's
Okay.
just like a stretch of the highway that has a really high amount of accidents, but like
Hmm.
deadly accidents
Oh
specifically.
wow.
And if you look at the history tied to the land, like the land that they built the highway over top, it used to be, I believe it was like an old like Catholic settlement, and then they got hit by a really bad bout of, I think it was like yellow fever, and a lot of people died there and were buried on that land. And it, for the life of me, I don't understand why the Florida government thought that instead of moving the grave sites, we're just gonna plow right through them and we're
Oh
gonna put a
geez.
highway.
No.
Yes, and they
This
did
is a
that.
bad idea. A
They
bad
paved right
idea.
over the graveyards, and that's
Oh my
where, for some
goodness.
reason, that area in I-4 has a lot of really tragic occurrences that happen. So
That's intense.
It's really
That's a good one.
intense.
That's a good one. Um, for some, so like the whole Disney thing, like you
Mm-hmm.
could just
Oh
rabbit
yeah.
trail on that for forever. I always so have you ever watched Adam the Woo on YouTube?
I don't
This
think
guy named
so.
Adam the Woo, and what he does is he travels around.
Mm-hmm.
He's into messing around at Disneyland and stuff like
Ah,
that so
okay.
much that he got kicked out of the parks, but then they let him back in. But he also goes to like movie filming
Mm-hmm.
locations around the US. So like he's got a really good here's all the places Back to the Future was filmed, or like he's even
Mm-hmm.
like done stuff in Iowa, like Children of the Corn, stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
like he goes all over the US, but he's a cool dude. Um but he's got some interesting Disney videos, and also there's like this one video I watched where it's like a abandoned Disney island that you can go on,
Yes.
and like he
Yes.
sneaks on it. I don't know what the details are, but do you know about this? Like it was the weirdest thing ever.
So I actually we're annual pass holders. So
Okay,
we before the before pre-pandemic, we would probably
right.
frequent the parks at least once or twice a month.
That's
And we've
awesome.
stayed there's a one of the Disney resorts, Fort Wilderness,
Okay.
the
Yep.
campgrounds.
Yep.
They the lake that connects to it is that's where that little island is.
Oh wow.
And yeah, you can when you take the boat to you can take the boat to the parks, you pass
Mm-hmm.
right by it.
No way.
And it used to be, to my understanding, it was a part of or attached to it was like an abandoned, basically, Disney water park that existed at the time that was
Okay.
all fresh water and everything, and there were slides, and they shut it down, and it just all, instead of like
Yeah.
taking it down, it's just all like basically still there,
Wow.
overrun by weeds and roots, and I've seen a few photos of people who have like dared to hop over, because if you get caught then you're trespassed forever
Oh
from
yeah, you don't
anything.
want to mess with Disney. They'll take you down.
Oh, they will, but yeah, it's
I
really
mean, not like
creepy.
they'll take you out, but like you don't mess with Disney, right? Because yeah,
Yeah, it's really creepy though, especially at
yeah.
nighttime.
Oh, I
It's
bet.
pitch black out there, and it just exudes like that ghost town sort of.
It's got like a real Bohemian Grove theme going, only
Exactly,
with a big
yes.
Mickey Mouse instead of a big owl statue.
Pretty much, not gonna lie.
Alex Jones style. Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about with that? That stuff is weird.
I was like,
Seriously. Yeah.
I know I pictured exactly what you're like. In my head, I'm picturing the island and this
Mm-hmm.
abandoned water park. And now I'm gonna have to check out that content because I gotta see how he got on there. Because it's Disney's pretty good with, for some reason, keeping people out of there.
Yeah, totally. I have a question for you.
All right.
You have listened to the episode that I just put out with the viewer voicemails, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what did you think of the the Mothman story?
It was so. I mean, I had anticipated it being wild,
Yeah.
but I think I was taken a little bit aback by how, like, not nonchalant she was talking, but definitely like she was telling her encounter, and I was just like drawn into it
Yeah,
because
I was too.
it
Yep.
really, like, I was really feeling everything she was saying, and just imagining all of these happenings, and then just the fact that, like, after she had recorded that, the story continued. All I could think of is this poor woman. Like, part of me is really excited about the possibility of Mothman, and then the other part of me is like, that had to be terrifying.
So there's a lot there, Yami, I cannot get into, but my goodness. So the thing about the um um ooh, I have to be really careful what I say. Um there's definitely a lot to do with the region
Mm-hmm.
it's based in.
Gotcha.
That has to do with, I mean, you're from a certain area, you sounded a certain way, maybe you even
Mm-hmm.
act a certain way, right? Which is
Yeah.
great. Um, so take that how you will. She has a very, very interesting area
Hmm.
where very interesting things happen. And thankfully, she was willing to share at least one of them
Mm-hmm.
with the general public, which is very cool. So she's great, but man, she puts up with a lot of stuff.
I'm not gonna lie. I was doing yoga while listening to that episode, and I was, as I'm listening to the story, I'm like, I'm really glad I'm doing yoga because this is stressing me out as I'm
Yeah.
listening to all that she's like, oh
Yeah, there's
gosh.
one part where it's like if you listen to it again, where her voice is pretty like even
Mm-hmm.
steady, but
Yeah.
like it cracks a little bit when she's talking about looking up in the sky. There's like a weird inflection that happens. I'm like, man, like stuff like that like tells it's real. Like, come on,
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
you can't like plan, okay, I want my voice to go like do this weird, well, I guess you could if you're like a really good actor, but like most people aren't going to do that,
Yeah.
right? Like it's super legit. So um yeah, your last episode,
Mm-hmm.
you go, actually no, sorry, before we get into that, tell so we already talked about
Mm-hmm.
skunk ape a little bit, which is pretty much Bigfoot in Florida.
Oh yeah.
Easy way to say it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability to go to a place in Florida called Gatorland, which is an
Yes.
amazing place. And can you share with the rest of the listeners across the world? Because as you know, this podcast is #1 in natural science in Malaysia. So
Yeah.
Malaysia,
Shout out to
keep
Malaysia.
listening. But can you kind of share with the listeners about Gatorland and the social distancing skunk ape, which is amazing.
I think that is one of the most brilliant campaigns I have seen.
Mm-hmm.
So Gatorland is, I mean, it's been a staple. It's the oldest theme park here in Florida, actually. It's been around that long. And I have lived here almost forever. And I had never gone to Gatorland. So when I saw the campaign with the social distancing skunk ape,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'd have to go. I have to go there
Oh
and I have
yeah.
to see if I can find the skunk ape. So it's a really awesome place. Like if you just like nature and learning about different kinds of wildlife.
Okay.
We had a great day there. I didn't
Awesome.
see the social distancing skunk ape, but his
Mm-hmm.
merchandise was everywhere.
Okay.
And they have really embraced this because you'll see every now and then like
Which is
hidden.
ironic because you're not supposed to be embracing anything. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly, right. Every now and then you'll see like hidden in like behind like a building or in the tree line, like a cutout of
Oh
a
man,
skunk ape.
that's great.
And I was just having a blast just looking around and just every now and then being like, there he is. There it is. So they've really kind of embraced the skunk ape at Gatorland. And I think that's awesome because while I haven't heard of a lot of skunk ape sightings in Central Florida, it's still tied to the state itself. So
Yeah.
why
Oh,
not,
totally. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Very,
It was
very cool.
it was a good time, I'm not gonna lie. It was very hot. But that's just Florida too.
But that's part of it from what I hear. I've been down there a few times as well, let's see, the last time I went, the
Mm-hmm.
Back to the Future ride was still at Universal. So that should
Okay.
tell you something.
Okay.
It was pre Simpsons.
Before when Jaws was still raining.
Oh, is Jaws gone too?
Yeah, Jaws has been
Jaws is
gone
the
for
best. Like that was
at
such a
least
good ride.
here. I think they
Okay.
I think they still have it in Hollywood. I think.
Yeah. It's crazy because I took a lot of vacations growing up to coastal Maine, and like they made a coastal Maine town in Florida that it's nuts. Like just I love how Disney and Universal creates, you know? And I've never even been to Harry Potter or like any of that stuff, and that stuff would just be like blow my mind.
You can spend
probably.
all day in just those 2 sections. I've done it before. So
because you can get like a wand and you can like make different stuff like react to magic, right? Which is
I may or may not
smart.
have one on my shelf right now.
I think that's amazing. You have a lightsaber behind you too, right?
I do.
That's
have
good.
a lightsaber.
That's good. Very cool. Very cool. I have a DeLorean license plate somewhere.
Oh, that's
in this room, off to the side. But enough theme park craziness. So I want to kind of just talk through different things I took notes about your last episode, where there's 20 different places you want to go to eventually. First off, have you made a map? Do you know, like, that's the first thing, like, as I'm listening to, I'm like, that's not going to work because you can't go there and then there and then there, because she, like, it's just like logistically it was freaking me out. So like I even found a website where it's like, okay, if I put this in and this and this in and then generate route, it's going to give me the best route. And I was like, this is
terrible.
A waste of my time because it's not my bucket list, it's Yami's, so let her do it. Because I'm like crazy about logistics and stuff and analyzing. But do you have a route planned out? Have you figured it out? I'm genuinely curious.
I'm a logistically minded person, but definitely for the episode, I just went off on the list in general.
Okay.
I hope one day to be able to actually have a road trip and plan it logistically, like start in Florida and like go from there. But there's definitely, it would probably turn into like 2 different trips because it's not a very consistent route. It just kind of bounces everywhere.
It's over the place. Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah. There's a lot of places to go.
I learned some interesting stuff from that episode. I'll tell you. First, I learned how close I actually am to Roswell, New Mexico.
Really?
Always in my mind, I thought Roswell was over by California. It's not. I mean, it's in the West, but it's like, it's doable from where, so let's say Central Iowa. It's like a 14-hour road trip, which is doable. But it's like, I thought it was way, way over by like Southern California. Like it's, so that kind of gave me hope. Like I would love to see, man, all that stuff.
They really embrace UFOs out there. So that'd be a fun trip. Time it to a festival and you got it.
Oh my goodness. Pine Barrens of New Jersey. So growing up, my father's big into, he still is, the outdoors, nature, stuff like that. So, you know, growing up, you are, this is pre-internet. So like the books in the house were what I had access to, right? So he had this series written by this like expert tracker guy named Tom Brown, and who grew up in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. So if you want a crazy fun read where it's like he's got stories about like going into the Barrens and trying to track stuff, but like being chased by dog packs and then being treed up in trees by the river and like barely getting away. Like it's a pretty solid read. Like this is before I realized like the Pine Barrens are totally a different thing too. So store that away. That's kind of a fun read if you get to it.
That's good. I'm just going to add it to, I'm slowly amassing a cryptid library, and I can I'm just adding them on as I see them.
I know, right? I saw that you updated about Van Meter.
I did.
With the mine being off limits, because
I don't want anyone trespass.
I would hate someone to try to get into that field and like Farmer Peabody or whoever tries to blow them away with a shotgun. Like seriously.
I was like, I don't know if many people will actually like take my advice and go to these places, but in the off chance that they do,
you absolutely never know.
I don't want to be liable.
Yeah, exactly. It's your own decision, guys.
Yeah.
Gals. But the Van Meter Visitor Festival is the best decision you'll make.
It's on the festival list. We
It
just
is.
need to clear up all this, and then we can go to the festivals again.
I know, right? It's also free this year too.
Really?
So extra $5 in your pocket. I think it was $5 last year.
That's not bad.
Is it Casadega?
Yes, Casadega,
Florida. Okay, so what part of Florida is this in?
for some reason, I always pictured Casadega in southern Lakeland, but it's actually north of Orlando. It's like,
okay.
I want to say from where I am around the Kissimmee area, it's probably like less than 2 hours. Away, so just going up north. And it's such a small town that like most people pass it and they don't even know that it's there, because it's literally a street, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be honest, that the whole section kind of freaked me out a bit, because I'm just like imagining walking around this town and like random people coming up to you and being like, you will have this happen to you.
I thought that's
what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, it is. I've actually I had seen quite a few like YouTube videos of people that had gone there, and then I actually had a friend who told me, yeah, no, I've been there, and yeah, that can happen.
Wow.
Like it's very common in an entire city full of psychics and
That's
mediums.
That's intense. Yeah, and the beer can thing.
Yes, that was just weird.
That happens a lot, or is that like a thing where it's happened only a few times?
It's the legend just like associated with the chair. Okay. So like I know, again, I've seen people leave like the can there to try it, and it doesn't know, like I haven't seen a video where it happens, but
it's a cool story though.
Yeah, it's just a legend attached to the chair.
So pretty much there's a place called the Devil's Chair. You put a can of beer there, go back the next day, and the can will be unopened, but no beer in it, correct? That's legit.
Having a cold one with the devil, I guess, is the legend tied to that chair.
Some Casadega resident has figured out how to drink a beer out of cans without opening it, and is just like living their best life. Free beer every night. Not to belittle the legend, it's actually probably legit. I was excited to hear, of course, Point Pleasant, West Virginia is on the list. There's so much watching and reading that I have to put into this whole like Mothman thing. I'll be honest, which is terrible because for you, like Mothman is your life, right? It's your thing.
I'm not gonna lie. It's like since I was little, of all the cryptids I had ever heard of growing up, for some strange reason, Mothman was just it. I don't know why. And it stayed into adulthood, and now it's like I feel like liking Mothman is like trendy right now too.
Yeah, I would say so, and I think that has to do with the well, maybe a few things. I know probably because of the video game a few years ago, the Fallout game, right, where they had all the cryptids from West Virginia, which is, I guess they had an actual like Mothman creature in that game, which is pretty awesome. And they were at the festival too. Bethesda was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But
that makes sense. That's really strategic marketing.
Yeah, super niche marketing there. Like that was awesome. Man, that statue is like, I'm driving around delivering food on the side, and like you're talking about the statue, and I'm like, man, that dang statue, so shiny.
It's so ripped.
So yes, let's say ripped.
I love it. I mean, it's an artistic representation. Mothman makes me want. If he looks like that, I feel bad. I feel like I need to be working out more because
that's true.
Mothman looks very fit.
I want to interview the sculptor of the Mothman statue. It's like, okay, tell me, was this just all up here, or did was this given to you like it has to be ripped? That is the essence of Mothman. Oh man, I can't wait to talk to the moth boy Matt tomorrow. Like, I'm sure
You
he's
got to
got
bring
some
up the statue.
funny stories, especially with the statue. That those guys are freaking funny. I said I'm getting an explicit rating. Do you know when my birthday is? Can you guess?
I'm terrible at guessing.
Well, it has to do with Mothman.
So it's in September. No, I'm attributing it to the festival. That doesn't necessarily mean it's Mothman.
Because you said that the date of the first sighting was, did you say it's November 15th, right?
I believe so, yes. I'm like, pulls out Mothman, aggressively pulls out Mothman notes.
Totally. Not
oh
the
my
same
goodness.
year, though. Because that'd be a time traveler.
That's a really cool, interesting thing, though, to share.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's like a fun fact you throw out at a party, by the way.
At a Mothman party, and then you become like the super awesome dude at the party. Salem, Mass. That's an awesome one to have on the list. So, like, I've actually been there a few times because I lived 2 hours west of Boston, out in the countryside of Massachusetts. Salem is a trip. It is a trip. I remember going there in high school, and we went and saw a play they put on about the witch trials, and that gets intense. My goodness. Oh man. But
the whole vibe of the place is just like, it's so unique.
Yep.
They don't shy away from their history at all.
Oh no, they totally embrace. And the Hocus Pocus movie.
Yes.
I mean, like, that's a classic Disney movie, right? So that's gonna be a good time. Don't go and see Plymouth Rock because there's nothing there. It's like this small. So if you're like, I've heard, I might as well go. Don't go. You waste your time. Winchester Mystery House. When I was at Apple Genius training a few years back, so I used to work at Apple.
Oh, nice.
Well, no, it was fun. I went to eat in San Jose across the street from the Winchester Mystery House, and I didn't know what it was.
Oh my goodness. And it's such a massive structure too. Like,
it's huge.
It's a really,
it is
like,
huge.
people, you don't realize, like, I've always, again, seen videos and pictures, but like looking at like the square footage and the amount of rooms that it has, and the fact that I think they still sometimes continue to find rooms that they didn't even know of. Like, it blows me away that it's that massive.
It's obscene how big it is. Like, looking at it from the outside, I didn't know what it was, but I was like, there's something weird about that place because it is so, it should not be that big.
Nope.
It's crazy. Or, maybe it was, this is going to make me question my memories. It could have been the Magic Castle. I don't know. Where's the Magic Castle? Do you know?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Mostly tonight. I don't know. It was one of the two.
Okay. The Mystery House is definitely, like, if you'd see a picture of it, you'd identify it pretty quickly.
I want to say it was Mystery House, but whatever. All right. Lizzie Borden is so I never went there, but growing up as a kid in New England, it's like, that's one of the things you run around and you say, Lizzie Borden took an axe, 40 whacks. And you're like, ha 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 ha, this is so funny. And you don't realize what you're saying is you're talking about axe murder straight up.
Yep.
And then you talk about London Bridges falling down, and it's like, life is great.
All the children's
kid
rhymes.
Nursery rhymes. My goodness. Goatman's Bridge. I don't know if I would touch that place, to be honest.
Like, I hadn't heard
I don't know if I could do it.
No, it looks creepy enough as it is. It's just this bridge in the middle of basically nowhere in the forest area. And it's not used for car transportation anymore. So it's just out there. Yeah. Doing its thing. And I had only heard of it from an episode on YouTube, BuzzFeed Unsolved. So they actually went there.
I've seen that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun episode because
it is. Yeah.
They absolutely taunt the living heck out of this bridge and
I
whatever
know.
entity
Yeah.
resides in it. I was very stressed. But it's very interesting. I didn't know like the full like legend behind the bridge. I just knew it was for some reason the Goatman's
Yeah.
Bridge. There's a Goatman. It's tied to like occult things, but that's about all I knew that
Right.
about
Yeah,
the
the Ghost
bridge.
Adventures episode gets pretty wild.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Like I said though, I would only visit it during the daytime and definitely not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
I don't know why, but for some reason I brought that up on Google Maps when I was
Mhm.
listening to your episode. Have you ever done that and looked at the area that it's in?
Yes, I try not to
Yeah.
always because sometimes I freak myself out more by having the visuals in front of me.
But
But
it's like it's kind of close to like some where like it's hard to
mhm,
tell how far away it is, but there's like some
yeah.
warehouses over there, right? But
Mhm.
like man, those like some creepy looking woods with the curves and oof.
Yes, yeah, and the woods themselves are rumored to hold like a lot of occult like happenings are frequented there apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that gives me less reason to wander in those woods at night for any reason.
Um and I am skipping some of these, but that's
Mhm.
because listeners, you have to go to the episode and you have to just listen to Yami just talk about all these and more, and you're gonna love it. I love Portland. I did not know about the
Mhm.
Shanghai tunnels. Maybe I
Yes.
did, but I don't know. But like that sounds pretty creepy as all get out.
If you look up
Yeah.
the images of the tunnels, I mean, the idea, and there's a lot of like kind of back and forth with the tunnels because there are, they're dark and enclosed. So like psychologically, you're already on, your body's more like on edge or paranoid, and
Mm-hmm.
you're more apt to like, I guess, see things that maybe when are not there, but it's just such frequent stories and things that are shared about the tunnels that yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I know
no.
people give tours into the tunnels nearly
Wow.
daily, but I don't know how comfortable I would feel. You lose sense of all time. There's no light outside of your flashlight. I'm a pass on that.
Oh man.
Except during the day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, during the day for a lot of these. You did miss one of my favorite ghost sightings at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, which is they see two
Mm.
gentlemen, one in an orange suit, one in a blue suit,
Oh,
and the one guy hits him with the cane in the back of the knee. So that's Dumb and Dumber. But Dumb and Dumber was filmed there at the Stanley, correct?
yes, it
Besides
was.
The Shining, which is hilarious
Mhm.
to think about that. Like you've got the two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yes, beautiful location though, nonetheless.
Yeah, no, totally, totally. Yeah, no, I mean, I've never been to Colorado,
Mhm.
which is kind of sad because like it's definitely doable. It's like an 8 to 10 hour ride from central Iowa, and it sounds just fantastic. I hear Boulder's a really cool place to
It's
visit. So,
beautiful. I lived there with my family. I want to say we lived about 4 or 5 years there.
oh wow,
And we lived at a military base in Fort Benning there. Excuse me,
okay,
that's Georgia. Fort Carson is where we lived. And that's actually where I had my first and only cryptid sighting was actually there.
wow, that's
Traumatized me as a
awesome.
child, but it's fine. It was a very beautiful place, though. There's a lot of, if you love nature, there's so much out there for it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah, it kind of wigs me out about like the like you're out there and it's hard to
Mhm.
breathe thing. You know, I'm not too sure that I want to try that, but I don't know. It'd probably be worth it though. Um,
You get used to the altitude after a little
okay.
bit, but if you do go out there, don't be surprised if you just spontaneously nosebleed because that's something that apparently
No
nobody
way.
told us. Nobody told us when we moved
Oh
from
man.
Florida at sea level to Colorado. And they're like, yeah, that can happen sometimes when because the pressure and the altitude and your body's not used to it.
Yikes. No thanks. But thanks. Like I'll check it out. but the nosebleeds. Ooh.
Not, but at least you're prepared.
I am prepared now. Yeah, I'm
we
prepared.
had no idea until my sister just one day.
Oh, just like.
Yeah, it was just one day. It just happened, and I felt bad. She was the one that kept getting it the most. It just be like that sometimes.
So you. We'll pause on that. Okay. Yeah, never mind. Villisca Axe Murder House. That's in Villisca, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of my favorite scenes in Ghost Adventures. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen the Villisca Axe Murder House episode?
No, I haven't. I know it exists, but I haven't seen it.
I want to almost. There's this. So, oh man, this is tough because it's such a good scene where it's like, I'm just going to say it. So, Zach gets down on the floor, laying on his back, and has an axe. So, like, let's imagine that, like, this is the door frame. Got an axe right here, just standing up. He's like, "Ghost, if you're real, make this axe come down on my face." I'm like, Zach, do you know what earthquakes are? Like, they could happen. Do not tempt fate, buddy. Like, it's literally something like that. It's the most wild and crazy Zach Baggins experience, which, you know, some days Zach will definitely be on the podcast, of course.
That doesn't surprise me at all, though.
Right? Like, is a total Zach thing to do. Have you seen the Enchanted Forest episode yet?
I'm trying to think. There's so many episodes.
There's a lot.
There's so many episodes. I'm trying to think. I might have, and I might, like, some of the episodes blend in, and then, like, my mind is blending other people that have visited said places in.
It's the 1950s theme park where Aaron grew up going there all the time.
Yes,
and it's, like,
yes, I did see it.
And you hear kids giggling and stuff.
Terrifying.
That's a fun one. And also, the one with Post Malone. Have you seen this?
That was wonderful. It was a joy.
It's fun because it's like the one part the ghost like comes after Posty and he's like calling him dirty. Which is like, either way, that's funny. So let's say if it's a ghost or if it's just the crew messing around with Post Malone, either way, that's hilarious. So I
thought it was funny. I'm like, I know Aaron is enjoying this. He's getting a break for once.
Oh yeah, totally.
That was a really good episode. Me and my mom and my dad, me, my sister and my dad, we watched that episode, and my dad was just absolutely stoked because Post Malone was in it. And he's like, you know, this is going to be interesting. You know, this is going to be an interesting episode now. It really was. And they had some interesting interactions that specific episode too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's definitely worth watching again, I think. Bell Witch Cave. That's some wild stuff. That's another thing where I don't know if I would get near it. You know?
I mean, the legend says that, like, she's quote unquote disappeared, but I don't know. I read the whole story of all the things that happened to this poor family.
Yeah.
And it really, the saddest thing is that she just seemed to do it to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me also feels the same, like, do I want to tempt fate and really find out if it's still there or not? But it is actually frequented by just like hikers and explorers, because it's actually, like, the area around is really pretty, and that's why I included. I didn't know you could go tubing in that area, so see the cave, then go tubing during the summer.
Go witch tubing.
It's like, that was another interesting marketing move right there when I saw that.
Yeah, that's true. Come to the Bell Witch Cave, and while you're there, go tubing.
Go tubing.
That was one of my favorite parts when I interviewed Mark Matzke.
Mm-hmm.
Was asking about that because he's a Lutheran minister.
Mm-hmm.
And is like, I was like, how do you handle this? And he's like, well, we look at it as folklore. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's rocks. But yeah, such a nice dude. My goodness. Um, oh, we should share the experience. So when I'm listening to there's a part when you talk about Skinwalker Ranch, and like you can hear in the background something says the word Yami in your episode. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's an EVP. This is crazy. And then I'm like, Yami, did you hear this? I'm like, she's like, I didn't hear this. And
No,
then
I
she's
did
like, let me
not.
listen again. Oh, it's there. And then like, I guess like everyone in like your mom got super amped about it. Turns out if you use Anchor for editing, it messes up stuff sometimes and gets weird. So
Yeah, that was
but still.
I was very traumatized when you shared that with me. So I was like, I didn't hear that, but like, let's go. For some reason I was thinking maybe like somehow noise was picked up from the mic from downstairs where my family was, but then when I heard the voice, it really did sound like my sister, and my sister was not at home at all.
Yeah.
During that, I definitely had a moment of freak out.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
And then
I
that's when I went into full, let me find a logical explanation for this mode. But it is a really, I'm just going to go with the technical, that it was something technical, and that it glitched, and it just happened.
It's tactical. Yeah.
It just happened to do that, but it was a very creepy technical error to happen. I'm not going to lie.
It was fun while it lasted. Yeah, I mean, so I don't know, Skinwalker Ranch is cool. It's awesome. But like there are things where it's like, do I really want to go on this property? By what's happened to these guys. I mean, the one guy, Thomas, he's gotten messed up.
Yeah.
And so has actually who's the other guy? Travis. The PhD guy, one of them, Travis Walker. Is it Travis Walker?
I think so.
Know. But yeah, he got some weird stuff going on too. So it's either like there's something in the ground, there's all sorts of weird stuff, you know, it could be. But I hope they come out with a season 2, as that's a good show.
I hope so. Yeah. And I mean, when I was doing research again, I had heard about the ranch and like at least the happenings on it, but I figured the same thing. I'm like, there's got to be, is it the land itself, because it's just a beacon for everything. It seems like everything is happening in this plot of land. And then that's when I found out that supposedly the land is considered cursed by the Native Americans. I was like, oh, that'll probably do it.
Yeah. There's a big I want to say his name is Ryan Skinner. He's involved with a lot of stuff there, and he's got a big Facebook group. And a lot of those guys are actually in the Facebook group, like the owners in it. So there's a lot of cool interactions that go on. And I was going somewhere with that. Oh yeah. So he had Q&A one day, and I was like, have you ever seen Bigfoot on the ranch? And they were like, yeah, no. I was like, because I'm pretty sure there's that one thing where it's like someone saw something coming out of a portal, right?
Yes.
And they think it may have been Bigfoot. This is like way back with like the George Knapp era and all that goodness. But so that was kind of bummer city for old Bigfoot Society, but it was all right. Still cool to chat with them. The one thing I don't think they have ever mentioned is, so you remember in the main room where they have like their meetings, and then like you have the command center off to the side, and up on the wall there's the map, and it's like the triangle. They never talk about what that is, right?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So someone like screen capped it in the group and like zoomed in on it, and it was like one of the points is in like Portland, Oregon-ish area, and then it's like there's like one like way over, it's like, but they never discussed it in the group either. So it's like, are there like maybe other parts in the world where there's like, you know, windows or stuff like that? Or
I think I had actually heard that there's almost like a version of Skinwalker Ranch over somewhere in Europe, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
Like, as a place that I had, when I was researching, somebody had mentioned that, and I'm like, and it makes you wonder, what is it about these certain places that seem to just attach certain type of like phenomena?
Yeah.
It's like all over the world, certain places.
Ley lines are fun to look into. I don't know if you've ever looked into that.
Yeah.
The thing is there's like not one map that's like the ley line map. So like if you're trying to find like what are the ley lines in Iowa, you know, you're
gonna find different kinds. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but what are you gonna do? Nicolas Cage owning the mansion that little tidbit is worth listening to that episode itself. So thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. I remember going to a hotel in like northeastern Iowa, and it's like they had a plaque up on the wall with this like guy like with long hair, and he's like, "This is Nicolas Cage's son. He stayed here one night." I'm like, wow. This is the claim to fame, guys. Cool.
I felt like it was so fitting too, like that Nicolas Cage would just so happen to at one period in his life have owned this property.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Why not Nicolas Cage?
My goodness. Can you imagine interviewing Nicolas Cage? Oh. That's like, where would you start?
National Treasure.
Yeah, you would. You'd have to start with National Treasure. And I probably would ask him about like, I think he owns like fossils or like weird stuff.
I think so, yeah.
Like yeah. And like, what movie would you not do? I'd probably ask him that. Because he does every movie because he owns so much money. Or owes so much money. That's what the story is, anyways. I love you, Nicolas Cage. Okay.
Be like, thank you for being almost single-handedly responsible for my attraction to conspiracy theories via National Treasure when I was little.
That is true. Oh, here's a good story. Okay, so like after National Treasure came out, I remember I was like, oh, like, what is this Masons thing? This is crazy, right? And so I go into like the local, of course, well, let's start with this. So I'm walking around Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is like, you know, not a super big city, but it's kind of like, you know, like it's smallish. And then you start to notice like, oh, the Mason symbol is there. And it's there because literally the Mason symbol is everywhere in this world if you start to look for it on buildings, right? So that started to freak me out as a junior hire. And then I go into this bookstore because New England has tons of bookstores. I'm like, so do you have any books about Masons? And the guy is like, yeah, who wants to know? And he does like this and shows his Masonic ring. And he's like, I'm like, I gotta go. So nothing happened, but it was just like a really weird experience where, you know, I was super amped on National Treasure and that did not help the situation.
What's funny is like they're supposed to be such a super secretive society too. So that's wonderful that he would.
Yeah, he's like.
He's very proud.
He is very proud. I hear if you've got the ring, it opens a lot of doors. But again, I don't know what I'm talking about. So, man, again, if you haven't listened to Yami's episode about the 20 places on our bucket list, that kind of inspired me to do an episode like that, but more maybe on like cryptids, especially Bigfoot. I think that would be cool because I was thinking through. There's a lot of places.
Yeah, there are.
Go through. Yeah.
Like, I almost pulled in Bigfoot, but then I realized that there are several.
Go nuts. Yeah.
There are several like hotspot areas. And I was like, that warrants its own trip at that point.
Totally. So, these are all the questions that I have for you. We've talked for about an hour, but
Mm-hmm.
we are going to do something cool starting with this episode.
Ooh, okay.
And, okay, I already told you what's happening, but good job acting. So we're starting something called Bigfoot Society After Dark. And what this is that, so I'm talking to all the guests before they come on. I'm like, you got to share the coolest, spookiest, creepiest, whatever type story that is like just stinking awesome. Like when you found out about like, you know, PG-13 as a little kid, like junior high, you're like, whoa, what is this? What is Unsolved Mysteries? This is nuts. But here's the thing. Here's the catch. In order to hear what's going to happen next, patreon.com, Bigfoot Society, and you can support us as we make the podcast, but also you get to listen to these podcasts, extra podcasts that come out every month. So we're going to go into that next. If you're listening to the podcast right now, thanks for following along. Head over to the Patreon and you can hear what's going to come up next. Sounds like it's going to be pretty awesome. Yami's got a great story she's going to share. So as of right now, we're going to stop the episode. Thanks for chilling out with us tonight.
Bye.